What else do I want to talk about? The more I watch this channel, the more things are going to come up, I'm sure. But, oh, what did I want to talk about? Okay. Now I should have mentioned this earlier, to be honest. But the reason why it does not like modern feminists because they lie and they are overbearing and they're crazy. Well, they're delusional and they don't believe in facts. They don't believe in reality. They try to bring you down with them. It's just bad. However, I am a 1960s feminist. I'm an original feminist who believes in equality and nothing else. None of this modern nonsense. Sorry, cold. But none of this modern nonsense. And he believes that all feminists are evil. Or whatever. Whatever he believes, but there is one feminist he likes. At least I know from the only one that he likes, and it's another YouTuber who believes in the free speech. It's fine. But anyway, what's another naivete of his? Another naivete of his is he. In one of his videos, this was a lesser thing, so I'm not going to probably stay long on it. That's famous last words. But sorry. No, I'm a very tail end of my cold, which is weird. I get very bad cold for like a day and for like a few days, and then that's it. But anyway, so uh, he was reacting to this TED Talk where a woman dared to say, don't tell an immigrant, well, I want to say this. A feminist, dare say, don't, sorry, cold. A woman dare say, don't, sorry, distracted because of cold. Okay. Don't, because a woman dare say, don't tell someone, she was referring to kids at school, that their accent is good. And he, what do I want to say? And he essentially was shocked to hear that, in a mild manner. He was mildly shocked to hear that someone would not want, that someone in America, land of the free, land of the assimilated peoples, the only place in the world that can actually assimilate people into its population well, the only place in the world that immigrants actually want to go to, and that actually takes immigrants. And he was he was mildly shocked to hear that a kid who had an accent, or a kid that had a thick accent or could barely speak English because they were fresh off the boat, let's be honest. You should not tell them their English is good. if it was good, and you knew that they were fresh off the boat. Although the TED Talk didn't say that, it said that children are othered and whatever. They didn't explain it well. But he was terrible. Where he said, because he said that I know Japanese, and when a Japanese person tells me an American, I'm in America, they're in Japan, we are separated. He said, he didn't say it like that, I'm describing the situation from what he was saying. I'm describing the situation he was describing. Well, in my words, what his words were, that in this situation of an American learning Japanese is complemented by a Japanese person who is Japanese. About how clear the Japanese is, how good their Japanese is. Am I gonna tell him, or you am I gonna need to tell him, or you? But there's a word in Japan for someone like. There's a word in Japan for an expat. There's a word in Japan for an expat. It's a racist word. It's a racist slur. There's a word for it. I don't want to say it because it is a racist slur, but it exists. I've heard from expats, YouTube channels and otherwise. Japanese expats and okay, what way does it go? American Japanese, I guess. American people who immigrated to Japan. Because Japan is a monoculture, more or less. It is a nation state. A state where the entire ethnicity is one thing, more or less. The country is mixed ethnicities. So Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, America are all countries. France, UK, China, Japan are all. Korea, South Korea, North Korea, doesn't matter, are all nation states. From what I understand the definition. In Japan, there's a word for someone who does not look like them, but is a countryman of them. It's a racial slur. So if he was in Japan, if he was an expat or if he was a nationalized citizen in Japan, he would have a different opinion about a Japanese person complimenting his Japanese. Because over there, they don't want you there. They don't want immigrants. They don't want your kind in their land. There is a very good reason they fought World War II the way they did, and they fought us, in general. They hated all non-Japanese. Koreans, Chinese, Drat, what's the island, not Koichiba, that's hello. What's that one, I'm being terrible. What's that island? It's an island just off the home islands. Has a lot of has the largest U.S. military base concentration. Because the mainland Japanese hate them. They hate them good. Because they're not mainland Japanese. They committed all the war crimes against us during World War II because we were dirty Europeans. To put it politely. They refuse to understand. There are Japanese politicians today that refuse to talk about comfort women, the act of taking girls, literal girls, high school students. Yes, anime is darker than you think. Hentai is worse. But basically, hentai and anime is a documentary of what the Japanese did during World War II with their women. It was not good. It was not good. They committed war crimes against their own people. The two nukes are seen in Japan as one of the most freeing, liberating things that they could have ever happened, because it was a clean slate. That's how bad they got. That nukes were preferable to what they were. Some Japanese believe this. Some Japanese believe this. Another segment of Japanese believe that they did nothing wrong, and how dare Americans nuke us, we were innocent. Which, that's just nonsense. There's even a story, there was a comment on one of a history YouTuber of mine, which I'm forgetting his name, where Japanese, there was a Japanese American who was American in every way. He was born in the continuous United States, and he was visiting Japan during the time of the war, during their sneak attack. Yes, not his fault that he was there during the declaration of war. They didn't declare it, and you would think they would return him to the United States or treat him as a visitor. No, they treated him as a pack animal because he couldn't speak Japanese. You don't want a compliment from the Japanese person saying your Japanese is good. That is them saying, you piece of trash, you suck, how dare you defile our language with your European blood, you freaking mongrel, you barbarian, and whatever other words you want to use, because they will use words that are far worse than that. And in America, I don't know if you know this, but there are people out there who are like that too. To me? To my ancestors. Up to 1960s ancestors, frankly my grandparents. Or to my grandma. But she didn't really, but her family wasn't participating in American society yet, because they didn't have electricity, and they were a subsistence farmer in South Georgia until my grandmother was 18, and she finally got electricity. My grandmother's 80. So yeah. And I've heard, I don't know this for a fact, but apparently in the 1960s, up to the 1960s, Irish and Scots-Irish were considered other. They were considered racist. They were considered another race than white. We were considered an other. We were considered a lesser. We were considered a lesser race to the English, to the French, to the Germans. And I really don't. And as someone who knows their history and knows my family history, I don't think we want to be a part of you, England. That's why we came to America, to fight you and get you off of our new land. Get you out of these colonies, because we don't like you. We don't like you. My family, to the Queen, we don't like you. To the Queen of England, we don't like you, but yeah. So, and the reason why the Irish were othered, which to use a word he hates, but the reason why Irish people were subject to racism, and Scots-Irish, I'm Scots-Irish, the reason why Scots-Irish were subject to racism is because of our accents. And the fact that we were conquered by the Romans. And the fact that we weren't Germans who conquered the Romans, and the fact we weren't English who were conquered by the Romans. We were on our island just doing whatever we wanted, getting invaded by like 5 million different things. One sorry, cold. If one book is correct, which you just learned about. Anyway. So we were an other. You know where else were others? The Japanese. They were Japanese during World War II were put in internment camps. Just because they weren't English, French, German, maybe Dutch. If they were being generous that day. Scandinavian, probably that too. So America has this history of that. But going back to my family history, the reason why you don't say to an immigrant, or really anyone in America, your English is good, is because it's insulting. You are saying, you are not an American, you are lesser than us. And he was pushing back at that. It's like, oh, I think it's a compliment. It's such a nice thing to know that I'm improving with my speech skills. Maybe. But you just never talk to someone who's been fresh off the boat, to use a classical term. You never talk to someone who just got here, to use a more charitable modern term. You never talked to an immigrant before. Like, you flat out never have. How do I know this? Because if you ever commented an immigrant on their accent, as long as you are a functioning human being who can read body language and can read responses, which he said, if I compliment someone and they come out and they were screaming at me for insulting them, how dare they? How dare they be so sensitive? Like, do you know how fortunate you are to be an American? Which he does. He actually does know that, and he says that. He actually says that in this video. He knows how fortunate he is to be an American. Yet, he takes it for granted. And he doesn't seem to understand that other people will get rid of their culture to come here. My my mom's great-grandmother came from French Canada and came here with nothing, including her culture. She got rid of it. Why? Because she wanted to be American. She was not French-Canadian anymore. She was American. She got rid of her accent. She got rid of her French. My mom regrets that because she wanted to learn French, but she understands why. People who come here to be Americans. They don't come here to be French Canadians. That's an issue that Europe has. That's an issue what Japan has. It's an issue what Canada has even. But that's not an issue America has. When Americans come to America, they are Americans, period, end of story. They help build up this great nation, period, end of story. We need more of them. Fix our fertility rate, for one. Two, how many inventors are first, second, third generation Americans? How many great business owners are first, second, third generation Americans? To use a really bad example, Elon Musk is a first generation American. I mean, a bad example because he came from a rich South African background, so he's a Trumpian example of what an American should be, or a European example of what a European should be, a European immigrant should be. But that's the best I got for you right now. Just look up immigrants who invented things, and you'll find a lot of immigrants invented things, and made businesses that stand today, and etc., etc., etc. America needs her immigrants. Yes, Florida, we don't want immigrants because we don't want people coming here from not even America because we think we're overcrowded. I mean, my mom said that, my sister says that, and they're both native Floridians like I am, and I don't mean Indians from this peninsula. I mean literally the Floridians of the state, because we're like 14% in our own state. And that's why I just frankly don't care. It's a lost cause. We need more people here so we can get more power in the American system. More population means more representatives. More population means more taxpayers. More population means more vendors. More population means more people working at Disney. More population is a good thing. And with modern technologies, we can just expand to the sea if we need to. Expand into the air. Expand underground. Okay, don't expand underground. That's actually terrible. We can't even do that. We can't make a we need to make monorails, not subways, because it don't work. But anyway, and the more pertinent example is I talked to a woman a few years ago at Mayo getting my blood tested, and she had a really thick accent. I didn't recognize it, and I was curious. I did not say your English was good. I did not say where are you from. Where are you from is even worse, by the way, because you are literally saying you're not from here. You are literally saying you're not from here. My grandpa hates that. Hates it when he gets called Yankee scum, or when he gets called damn Yankee. Pardon my language. Darn Yankee. When he gets called darn Yankee, he hates that. He's from Ohio, yes, but he wants to be Floridian. He came here with his wife. He served in the military. They met in the military, and they came to Florida to settle down. He is a Southerner and a Floridian. He is not an Ohioan. I mean, to be honest, he wants the old ways, but he doesn't want to be called a Yankee. It was worse back in the day. I never heard anyone say it to him other than myself, and I say it mostly as a joke. I know, it's actually offensive. It's an offensive joke. But I say it anyway. It's one of my... I shouldn't do it. I really shouldn't. It's mean. And, in fact, I don't know a single person that actually took me calling them a Yankee as a good thing. So why in the world are Europeans saying that to everyone, including me, by the way, because I'm an American, therefore I'm a Yankee. No, I'm not. I'm a Southerner. I'm not a Yankee. But that's another example of what not of insulting people. People wanting to be where they are. So this nurse, tech, whatever, blood drawing person, was working at Mayo. Mayo is a world-class hospital chain, and they were gracious enough to put one here in Jacksonville, or they came from here or whatever. And Mayo, and she was working at Mayo. Mayo's a very diverse place. You see people from exchange students from other countries coming here to immigrants, to people who they have Floridians who were born here, and they're all the same. I mean, yes, I literally, yes, you call me out. Yes, "Oh, can you call me? That's a contradiction. How can I know that they're from anywhere else if I say they're all the same?" I was being nice. I can't tell the difference. I just don't want to. But when I asked, so how did I skirt around your English is good, or where did you come from? I said, "That's a lovely accent you have. How did you get it?" And she said, I'm from Vietnam. And eventually she would say, "I hate my accent." And she got really, not upset, but really shy and embarrassed of her accent. I'll be honest, it was pretty. It wasn't a bad thing. And this guy, think before you sleep, wouldn't have thought through his head, if he would have saw it, maybe, but I'm of two minds about this. Either he is just flat out, either he just blind, a blind man, or a blind man who can't read human emotions. Maybe he's autistic like I am, but I read their emotion. I read people like a digital clock. But this guy most likely has never talked to someone fresh off someone who just a new American. Maybe he comes from a part of the country where there just aren't new Americans. They're all old Americans. People who've been here for generations. Maybe he doesn't recognize that he's insulting people. I think he would, though. He seems to understand human behavior. He seems to understand human body language. So, that was insulting to her. She was embarrassed. And I could also tell that she hasn't been here for very long. A few years at tops. But she was proud to be an American. As all Americans. Which he does understand this too. In this video, he commented on how someone with an Australian accent was not understanding what freedom of speech is, because in Australia they don't have that. They have a law where if you see something, say something, then we'll tribunal them or take them to court. But why would you court-martial someone who's not in the military? A tribunal is a court-martial. I think, more or less. But why would you do? Court-martials are not exactly the most fair things in the world in the U.S. military. Why would you think a tribunal against someone who said something as mild as this woman found as I'm not even going to say it because I don't agree with it, and it was mild. It's not. It was mild, but it's a bad take. Let's just say that it's just a bad take. Well, you can watch this video. It's a bad take. It just wasn't good. I'm trying to make videos that if I remember to find them. But again, they're all on this channel. You can watch them. And develop your own opinion of this man. I'm just telling you what my opinion is of this man.